crazy. I'm disheveled. I kind of like it that way. I poured a glass of wine on my Mac Air about 2 weeks ago, so I don't even have a laptop computer right now. So I'm living off of my iPad. I have a crazy life, and you're about to enter it right now. Because one Susan Fricky, stand up please, asked me a fateful question while I was eating the wonderful dinner this evening. She said, "Why do you do what you do?" I said, "What a great place to start. First of all, I have ADD. And that's why I was on the internet the entire time I was up there, and I was tweeting things. I can't help it. I'm addicted to what I do. There's nothing more fun than being electrically plugged in, saving the country 24 hours a day. I wake up, I'm not kidding you, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I turn over and I tap the computer or the iPad to see if there's somebody at war with me, and I'll engage in Twitter warfare. I have not stopped since, well, it's been going on for 15 years, which we'll get into it, but since the acorn thing, I said to Hannah and James, you understand, you're about to, they're going to live longer than I am, because they're in their early 20s. I said, this is going to be for the rest of your life, because if you go after the institutional left like this, they're going to come after us for forever. And so we were like, holding on a cliff and jumped, just, saw them coming at us, and we just jumped in. And so I got to be honest with you, I got to tell you something. I was afraid of taking these people on, but I said we got to do it because they're really bad people, I'm telling you. And we'll get into it, why they're really bad people. In fact, I use the word evil. They really are, and I really will prove the case. And I'll debate anyone, anywhere, anytime. John Podesta, the former heads of Acorn, the SEIU people, that walrus-looking freak, Richard Trumka. I'll debate them on their tactics versus mine any time. By the way, I'm the anonymous donor who's doing the matching funds. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I thought if I could get away with that. In fact, I thought that would be, wait a second, I'm the bride. I wanted to fish out who that very generous person is. Speaking of generosity, one of the reasons why I'm here is because I've come to realize that the spirit of the American people over the last 2 years of flying around this great country. I'm from West Los Angeles. I'm under siege. Okay? And speaking of freaks, no offense, you're freaks to me because you're so nice. I don't know what nice is. I don't know what it's like to talk to people who agree with me. So this is just weirdness. It's just, I feel like I'm in the weirdest Twilight Zone episode of all time. And the Twilight episode is within a Twilight episode that was produced by George Orwell. And it's the one that America is going through right now, where you guys are being called fascists and racists and Nazis, when all you care about is freedom. That's it. Freedom and liberty. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. We are living in Orwellville, USA. Why do I fight, Susan Fricky? Why do I fight? Okay, let me just start, because I can tell you while I was sitting there and you were wondering, why is he sitting there checking his fantasy baseball team? Well, because I do that too. But in between checking my fantasy baseball team, Susan Fricky, a lot of interesting stuff happened. For instance, I live in Los Angeles, where I used to practice something on the internet that sounds blurred, but it's not. I call it real estate porn. And I would spend time thinking where I'd go to websites and look up real estate, during my working hours. And I remember thinking about Coeur d'Alene. I'd never been there, but I saw that island, that Gulf Island, and then I saw the lake. And I think that's where I need to raise my kids. So I would look for hours on end saying I'm going to raise my kids in Idaho. Because freedom. Because you guys were like saying, no, don't come, Californians, don't come up here, please. We like this thing called freedom, and I know you create these fabulous utopias down, in the blue states, and when you've had enough of utopia, you go up to the red states to create another utopia. It's not working out, that utopia business, is it? And so, why do I not check out Coeur d'Alene anymore? I don't. No offense. Hey, because I don't have any money. I'm the only middle-class mortgage and two-car payments media mogul in the history of the world. Everyone else has planes, and I'm like sitting there in the middle seat in coach most of the time. So why do I not check out Coeur d'Alene? I'm not kidding you. I really did check out Coeur d'Alene all the time for years and years, because it was this strange, almost literary, mythic thing in my life. I need to escape LA. I'm sick of going to dinner parties. I'm sick of everywhere I go being a jolly warrior. Hi, how are you? You're a conservative. You're evil. I'm like, hi. And my wife saying, why can't you just keep your mouth shut at one of these dinner parties? They come after me, I swear. And eventually she apologized to me at one of these dinner parties, and right before we got out of the car at the Barnes' house in Hancock Park, she said, please at this one, please at this one. These are my friends from my mommy and me, thing. Our first kid we had, and they did Pilates, fetal Pilates together, and they liked each other. And Susie didn't want to lose her friendship with these fabulous human beings, including Sharona from My Sharona, incidentally. I live in LA, let me name drop. So I remember going to this one party in Hancock Park, and Susie said, not at this one, you're not getting into the conversations with this godforsaken Hollywood crowd. Don't do it. I swear, I never bring it up. They come to me. Andrew, just behave yourself. And I'm in the buffet area. Imagine over there, but smaller. And next thing I know, I'm like, well, there were weapons of mass destruction found, actually. You just don't want to have them. And there's 4 of them. And I see my wife looking at me. And it was like 10 minutes before where I said, no, this one. This one I promise. I know the last 3, but I swear I was so emphatic at this one, emphatic that I wouldn't do it this time, that I felt that the entire marriage hinged upon my good behavior, Susan Fricky. And what happened was, that was a bit of a surprise. My wife says, I need to talk with you, and I thought I was going to be literally spanked for my misbehavior. And she said, I don't know what to say to you. I just witnessed the strangest thing in the world. I was in the other room, and they coordinated, like a football play, how they were going to confront you, the 4 of them. And I am so sorry, because you used to say that there was a conspiracy against you at these dinner parties, and I watched the conspiracy happen. I said, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, and it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so fun. The reason why I go tea party to tea party to tea party is to teach people how fun it is to confront the statists, the leftists, the unionists, the public sector unionists, the walrus-looking gentlemen from the AFL-CIO. To get in their faces, they don't know why they believe in what they believe in, and they are behaving like thugs right now because they never expected. This is the 2nd anniversary of this organization. They never thought that rugged individualists, which is what at the end of the day we aspire to be as conservatives, that we would figure out the freaky dance of community organizing, and that's what you're doing here. You go, okay, we'll community organize. Let's community organize, guys. And they don't know what hit them. They do not know what hit them. And I'm teaching them the war strategies that I developed. I'm like a shortstop of the dinner circuit in Hollywood. We live in trying times, and I'm like a general of the cocktail world, and I'm teaching you that you don't have to be in Afghanistan or Iraq to come back home with some scalps. Okay? And I want to say, Susan, another thing happened while we were sitting at that table, okay? Two things happened while we were sitting at the table that things are changing in Hollywood, believe it or not. The reason why I no longer look at the Coeur d'Alene website, other than the money situation, is because over the last, if there's a blogger here, please don't go out there and blog about this, because I'm kind of giving you a secret. But it's an open secret in Hollywood. Something kind of extraordinary started happening after I wrote this book called Hollywood Interrupted in 2004, whose sole purpose was to be mean-spirited and to make those people hate me and confront me. It's just a vicious, vicious book against the Hollywood class, because I live on the National Cemetery in West Los Angeles, okay? And I live in the part of the cemetery where the new bodies are there. And so I'm I may never forget 9/11 guy, where I know the families whose kids are buried back there, and the people who started the anti-war movement before even Noam Chomsky, before the college professors, was the Hollywood left. And I watched them do it. So I wrote this really mean book, and I really thought that I was under siege, and I was outnumbered 1,000 to 1, 2,000 to 1, maybe even 3,000 to 1. And around 2007, I get a phone call from Gary Sinise, and he says, "Hey, buddy, I'd like to introduce you to some of my pals." And I thought I was just going to be going to a small, smoky room and eat, a steak. Instead, it was a place not unlike this, much smaller, but a place where Kiwanis would get together, or Rotary, or Lions Club. My dad was Rotary. Hate to offend the Lions people in the room. And he introduced me to a world that I didn't know existed, and at the time there were only about 140 of these people, and they worked through all walks of life in Hollywood. And this is before the Tea Party, though this group is the proto-Tea Party, because they saw what was happening in our country is what happened to Hollywood 40 years ago. And that is that the left promised them the world. They promised them a utopia. And they gave them servitude at best. They're not allowed to speak up on a set that they're conservative. And so their bargain didn't work out for them. And they're fearful of exposing themselves. And so Gary Sinise had the wherewithal and the courage to say, why don't we start we all live in cells out there. I thought I had 4 friends who were conservative. Gary thought he had 3. And we've all started to put our friends together, and there were only 140 when I got in. I heard the stories when it was just 2 of them. And then they decided to continue to have these lunches. And now it's about 1,700. And that's why I created Big Hollywood. By going out there and fighting the fight, we have created a missile defense system. In the 3 years that we've been up, the Oscars have gone from DEFCON 1 in terms of hate America, hate conservatives, to they've shut up. Because they don't like that my order to John Nolte, the editor, is overkill. Overkill. Make it so that they hurt. Make it so Rosie O'Donnell is in a fetal position in pain. And I end up getting emails from actors, directors, writers, punk rockers, hip-hop artists, everything you could possibly imagine, saying, I'm on the team, I don't know what to do. But we're building it, we're building it, we're building it. And Atlas Shrugged is a manifestation of this effort. Last night,